don't change our plates every morning, just so you know. It'll be the same plate when you come talk to us later. That's fine. U.S. citizen, former fucking veteran. You want to come at us? You want to come at us? I say go get yourself some lunch, big boy. Go ahead.
Out of the car. Get out of the fucking car. Get out of the car.
Whoa!
Be leaders ourselves.
Black women are being used by the Democrat Party.
All of these socioeconomic indicators are in the negative, particularly for black people.
They want mob rule. When Trump was in office, please somebody tell me what act of dictatorship did he perform?
She had Donald Trump's hair on top of her head. And she's sitting here talking about brown girl this, brown girl that.
Because she's a black woman.
They would ask her how to spell her first name and clap like sea monkeys.
Oh, yeah.
Whoa.
All right, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you all as you watch this broadcast. It's time for Pop and Politics. I'm KJ. Let me introduce you to my co-host. Of course, we have Nicole Bennett.
Hey, y'all.
Oh, Yana's back with us tonight.
Hello, good to see you.
And Shelly E. All right, we have so much to cover tonight. Before we light this fire, folks, do your part. Tap that thumbs up, smash that subscribe button, and turn on your notifications. We are live here on YouTube and Rumble. If you're on the go, you can catch us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify under the name Pop and Politics. We love our chat, folks. Friday night, this is our livest chat. Generally, Friday nights, we have a super live chat. We need you guys tonight. We love you guys. We also shout out every super chat. So drop your thoughts, show your love, and join the conversation that the mainstream media wishes didn't exist. This is not just a podcast. This is a movement that's been going on now on YouTube for 3 years. We just celebrated our 3rd anniversary here on YouTube. We've been doing it for 5 years, but this YouTube was 3 years. But this is a movement, folks, of God-fearing, truth-seeking, America-loving people that value freedom. Stand with us and subscribe so we can amplify this rallying call for freedom. All right, ladies, let's set it off. All right, so we want to talk, as you all saw at the top of the show, we showed this new footage of the ICE agent that was involved in the shooting in Minneapolis. So new cell phone footage out today from the ICE agent involved in the fatal shooting of the lady, Renee Nicole Good, was released today by Alpha News and Fox News. Fox News obtained the cell phone footage from the ICE agent. And this sort of really brings a new, at least for me, I want to get you all's response, brings a little bit more clarity. Okay. So from the point of view, the footage shows that Good's wife was talking trash to the ICE agent as he approached her partner's SUV. You hear the deceased wife, that's his wife, say, "You want to come at us?" And then you all saw the exchange from there. Want to get your thoughts on this, Shelly, with this new footage. Do you change your point of view? What are your thoughts?
It doesn't change my ultimate conclusion. Number one, it does add some, I guess, context or layers, I guess, to what was going on, before Renee was killed. Ultimately, it doesn't. Not only that, I think there were 2 videos. The one from the woman's, the so-called wife's camera, and one from the body cam, I think, from the ICE officer. So it doesn't change my ultimate conclusion that if the officer, if she was going towards the officer, he does have a right to defend himself. And unfortunately, Renee is now being buried.
Yeah. Nicole, we saw it was some question behind whether or not the ICE officer would have known. Well, was he really in imminent danger? What does this show you now?
Listen, a car that big on the human body does incredible things, even with the slightest hit. It is unconscionable to think that someone could hit you with an SUV and you would not be in fear for your life. Now, when ICE officers are moving people out from in front of their trucks as they go by, they're screaming, "Don't kill me, don't kill me." And the truck is going 0 miles an hour, is barely rolling forward. This woman gunned that gas, and you can very clearly hear it. She pulled the wheel into him, hit the gas. Her intent was to run him over, or at least make him jump out of the way to make her video funner. I mean, it's not that we celebrate the death of this woman. I feel bad for her. I feel bad for her family, the indoctrination, the radicalization that she's gone through in her life. Her children are going to have to live with this for the rest of their lives. She'll always be the woman who lost her life in this particular situation. So there's no clear winner, no clear loser in this. It's an unfortunate happenstance, but it should give everybody who's, out here protesting ICE and thinking they can impede federal authorities pause. It really should.
Yeah, Yana, early reports were saying that the deceased was afraid for her life. But then we see this video and she was the aggressor. She was taunting this ICE agent. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's very clear. And it is very unfortunate that this happened. I mean, she does have children, so I can't imagine, what they're going through right now. This is horrible. However, in this particular video, you can clearly see that she and the partner, the other woman, they're instigating. Mm-hmm. They are the other woman. She was out of the car for some reason. Mm-hmm. Because she wanted, I think, to film them having this confrontation with the ICE agent. So they were looking for trouble out there. Yeah. And the ICE agent was exactly like where her wheel is, like the driver's side. So like if she could have like literally driven over him if, that's what she was trying to do. So I'm glad this video came out, and it's clear that they were instigating, and this is what happens when you go against law enforcement.
Yeah. And so again, this is setting up to be a self-defense case. So we've covered self-defense cases on here before, and every time we talk about, there are 5 things or elements, I should say, that need to be present for use of force to be lawful. So the max of elements that need to be present are innocence, imminence, proportionality, avoidance, and reasonableness. And so it's not the defenders, meaning it's not the ICE agent's burden to prove that he acted in self-defense. The state has to disprove the claim of self-defense beyond any reasonable doubt. Okay. And if they can disprove any of those 5 elements that I named, the claim of defense is done. However, looking at this video, it seems pretty clear to me that all 5, well, at least avoidance is the one element that varies across states. Now, due to Minnesota being one of 11 states that imposes a duty to retreat, that's the one difference. However, police officers do not have a legal duty to retreat. So avoidance is off the table. But we've covered cases like this before, and we will see how this plays out if it does go to court. So please, folks in the chat, sound off and let us know what you think. Now, one thing I want to say, and this is just my personal opinion, my heart does go out to the loved ones of this deceased woman. But folks, these people have not learned their lessons. Okay, we are seeing video upon video upon video of these agitators, these leftists, continuing to jump out in front of law enforcement vehicles. Okay, they are continuing to agitate and be aggressive with law enforcement. It's similar to people who are being stopped in traffic stops, and instead of just reasonably, going along with, the motions of the stop, they just get indignant. I mean, really, it's hard for me to feel sorry for these types of circumstances when really it did not have to go down this way. Nicole, what are your thoughts there?
I agree with you, KJ. It didn't have to happen this way, but this is the way it has been going. Since the summer, quote unquote, of love, we have been allowing people who are protesting to go further and further and further across the line of lawlessness. Not prosecuting them for burning buildings down, setting cars on fire, looting and rioting. By not prosecuting, it gave them a false sense that they could do anything they wanted to. This is why at the very beginning of this ICE program, the rules of engagement were so very important. And the administration kind of lost a little bit on the rules of engagement. The rules of engagement, you want to give them a warning. You want to talk to them. If you have to detain them, you want to let them go. No, you don't. Because had they arrested these people off the top, there wouldn't be people out protesting in the street. Because truth be told, Riot Inc. is not paying enough money for you to go to jail. They're really not, especially considering most of these people belong to a union. These are teachers. These are people who have other things that they're doing with their life, aside from being a professional rioter, that being arrested by federal authorities may impede their ability to make money for their actual families. It's going to clear out a lot of these professional rioters. They've been arresting them today. Mm-hmm. I think it's a little late, but they should have done that from the beginning.
You're absolutely right, Nicole. I know, Shelly, we have a super chatter here, I believe.
Yes, we do. Anna Diaz, thank you for stopping by on a Friday night, and thank you for your $10 super chat. Anna says, hi, ladies, somewhat new here, but just wanted to say the officials in Minneapolis are using this tragedy to pull focus on fraud. I don't know. Pull focus on fraud. They will milk it. They will milk it as long as they can.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. You are absolutely right. They are trying to remove the attention away from the fraud, which we have been covering here for the last week or so in Minnesota, the Somali fraud that's connected to Feeding the Future, to the assisted living and other institutions that have been connected to fraud. And then I think out today, there was a headline, ladies, please correct me. I don't have it in front of me, but there was something going on with Ilhan Omar, which I think she was caught trying to funnel $1 million in taxpayer cash to some shady Somali-led group, but GOP hardliners had to nuke this in the spending bill. She was trying to add it to a line. Did you guys know? Okay, go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this is what I like to call pork fest. It's like a barbecue of tax money where all the people in the House of Representatives sit around and say what pork they want for their particular constituencies. Usually about $1 million and $1.5 million, somewhere in there. And it's quite literally a spreadsheet of pork, right? I want my $1 million to go to the Somali Relief Fund so they can continue to send money to Al-Shabaab. I want Yana may want her $1 million to go to small children for nice gifts and crayons. Everybody has something that they want, and hers was on there, and it was some sort of Somali education, fund. And they were like, "Oh, absolutely not." Chip Roy actually posted it to his social media, so people could take a look at it. And it was interesting to see what AOC wanted. It was interesting to see what a lot of these people. When I tell you this pork is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. You think 400 plus members at $1.5 million a piece of pork.
Yeah.
It's our tax money.
Right. The crazy thing though about this Ilhan Omar earmark was, I believe there was a clinic operating above this Somali restaurant run by just 3 people at the same address. So people are saying this was screaming fraud. They were showing red flags of another welfare scam.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, look, these incidences that we are hearing about, incidents that we're hearing about right now, again, they are only new in that they've been made public. This has been going on for decades, okay? The blue side, I'm pretty sure, does it way more than the red side. But like Nicole said, we have pork from any kind of fraud, waste, and abuse you can find. I bet you $1, you will find many politicians, bureaucrats behind it, number one. So this is the part that just gets me, again, I think I say vex. This is the part that just gets me seething when it's an industry. Fraud is the industry. That's the only conclusion I can keep coming to. And, from state roles, federal roles, all of these, businesses that are created using taxpayers' money. It's so big, again, because it's an industry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ilhan Omar, she has to pay her people to keep herself in her position. She has to pay the Somalis because I don't think they really like her that much. It's just she pays them. And I don't understand why she's still in Congress where she clearly married her brother. Like that's a fact that she did. She was married to someone else while she was Islamically married to another guy like for years, so and had children with him. It is so clear that she married her when she was helping her brother to get papers. So it's like fraud on top fraud. And then she leaves her Islamic Somali husband and marries this other guy, the white American guy.
Yeah,
So the Somali community, like I know Somali community, I even seen comments. They didn't like that when she left her Somali husband to marry this guy. Absolutely, they didn't like that. And so, but she has to keep paying them to be this, cash cow for them. If she messes up, if she stops providing, they will turn against her immediately.
Oh wow. All
Isn't
right.
that
Because
KJ, that clip we showed, I think Wednesday, where he was the guy with the lisp who was saying, if you guys keep coming after us, we're not going to vote for you anymore.
Right.
His name Mohammed. Exactly what Yana is saying is exactly what he said. If you guys keep coming after us, we're not voting Democrat anymore. This is not a threat, but we're not going to vote for you anymore if you keep coming after us.
Yeah. And folks, please sound off in the chat. Let us know what you think. Getting back to this violence, just last night, federal agents had shot 2 people affiliated with Trende Aragua in Portland, Oregon. So again, this is another law enforcement shooting. So around 2:19 Pacific Standard Time, U.S. Border Patrol agents were conducting a targeted vehicle stop in Portland, Oregon. The passenger of the vehicle and target is a Venezuelan illegal alien affiliated with the transnational Trende Aragua prostitution ring and involved in a recent shooting in Portland. The vehicle driver is believed to be a member of the vicious Venezuelan gang. When the agents identified themselves to the vehicle occupants, the driver weaponized his vehicle. Surprise, surprise. Again, they trying to run people down, run these law enforcement agents down, and attempted to run him over. And they were shot. So these people are not stopping. They are going full speed ahead, literally and figuratively, against ICE agents. And why? Because leadership, not just in the Democrat Party, but also in media, are encouraging this. Take a look at this next clip. This is a CNN clip of Representative Janelle Bynum really inciting violence today. This is clip 6.
And just real quickly, there are folks that are going to hear you say things like state-sponsored terrorism. You put out as a statement, literally, stop fucking with us, was your words. These are goons. And they'll say that is raising the temperature and actually puts some of this law enforcement officers in greater danger. What do you say to that?
I said what I said.
Okay.
Shelley, what are your thoughts on that? I said what I said.
She said what she said. I mean, that's what she said. Look, let me say this, and this again, I don't care if you all don't like me or agree with me for saying this. Number one, it is not illegal to I don't know, to say what you want to the officers, to curse, whatever. I didn't recommend it. I'm saying it's not illegal to do so. Okay, it's not illegal. It may be immoral, may not be advised, maybe a little unethical. It's not illegal to do so. But many of these people, these are the same people who say speech or rhetoric, causes violence, yet they will do and perform the same speech that they are poo-pooing on the other side. Okay, we don't have to like it. I'm going to still stand on free speech. Janelle, is that her name? Janelle said what she said, but Janelle needs to also understand that if she says that speech can cause violence or speech is responsible for that, then Janelle needs to be a part of taking responsibility for that violence that ensues. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not illegal to walk in the middle of the street at night with black dark clothes on. If you're walking down the highway or you're crossing the highway in the pitch of night, it's not illegal. You can do that. But you probably are going to get hit by a car, multiple cars, and come out your shoes with it. Okay. So, it is what it is. Again, these people, and people may get upset with me about this, but I'm so sick of this free speech stuff. Yes, there is free speech, but let's look at this in context. These people, not just her, but a lot of people in the Democrat Party, a lot of people in leadership in these cities, these mayors are out here putting the lives of law enforcement in danger. Mm-hmm. I mean, Nicole, don't they have some type of, I understand the decorum that is involved here, but don't they have some type of I don't know, what's the word? Some type of code or some type of something that where as a person, a public facing figure, they have the responsibility to tamp down this stuff, to not try to incite these law enforcement people, to not incite the people, the protesters, to cause danger to these people.
Of course, that I don't know any municipality that has elected officials where there's not a code of conduct.
Yeah, definitely.
When you take a look at the words, for us, words have
decency.
meaning.
Yes. Sorry.
For them, words are flexible. And we know this about Democrats. They change words all the time. And it is everything I can do in my lifetime to get America to not pick up this weirdo language with their weirdo definitions. Perfect example: misinformation, disinformation. I don't know the difference between the two. I don't even want to know the difference between the two. I will tell you if something's true or not, but you can define it with those Democrat words all you like. Here's what's important here. And it's a scary concept. And you're right, KJ. We're seeing more and more elected officials, especially the ones that are in very urban areas, take a very hardline stance. And the reason is because that part of their base, that very strong, uber liberal, leftist, is telling them they're not doing enough. They want to see blood. You hear them say, I want you to punch them. I want you to take Trump out. Right. I want you to gone. So when you hear your constituency saying you're not coming hard enough, so the first thing you see is Jasmine Crockett dropping F-bombs. Hakeem Jeffries is talking about beating people up in the street. Maxine Waters, 150-year-old butt, is out here talking trash about people. They're not doing that because that's what they really believe. Remember, these are politicians. They're chameleons. They're doing it because that's what their constituency demands. And they all want to stay in their seats. It's not about advancing America. It's not about pushing forward a certain piece of legislation. It's about retaining their jobs in the strings to that purse that carries all of our tax money. Now, I'm going to say this, and hopefully history will prove me right. But as we sweep across this nation, doing all of these audits, there is not going to be one state, not one territory, where we find less than $5 billion with the B dollars in fraud. Not one. Red state, blue state, pink state, polka dot state, every state has fraud. Every single state.
Right.
And we're going to see that. And the people who are holding those purse strings and holding on to those seats with both hands are to blame. And we need to remember that as people who elect these people.
Yeah, I mean, Yana, what are we seeing here? You know, these leftist leaders all over the country are, and we understand they have free speech, but they're endangering lives by encouraging violence or obstruction of lawful enforcement activity. I mean, this woman called the ICE goons. What is our recourse, Yana?
That is not free speech. That is incitement of violence. That does not fall under the same category as free speech. And these people who are saying it, and that Janelle lady, they are enemies of the state, essentially. You can't do that. You cannot say go and physically harm law enforcement. And the funny thing is that these are the same people that would talk about January 6th like it was the worst thing that happened in America, when hurting any law enforcement was not what the people wanted to do. And it was just, I mean, we're not going to go into all of that, but that's what those people would say. They're very hypocritical, but also they are fighting. They're fighting against the government. This lady, Nicole Good, she was, it's like a cell, you know, they have, it's a movement, and they need to be found and they need to be prosecuted as terrorists, because to say threats towards law enforcement, that's terrorism. And this woman's, Nicole Good's son, little 6-year-old, goes to a charter school that says that they believe in involving children in political and social activism. So this entire, they call it, social justice school. So it is a whole community, it's a whole organization that needs to be dismantled. They're enemies of the United States.
Yeah. Very good point. Very good point. Folks in the chat, sound off. What are your thoughts on what we are seeing these leftist leadership all over the country do? Here we have a Philadelphia sheriff saying she's going to arrest ICE. Don't come to her area. This is clip 2.
Good afternoon. I'm Rochelle Bilal, the sheriff for the city and county of Philadelphia. And I say her name, Renee Good. Renee Good. Renee Good. Renee Good. Renee Good. This should not have happened, but we're here today. Let know that law enforcement professionals, real ones, not the fake made up ICE, probably Trump's new army to attack citizens of the United States. Did you hear what I said? No law enforcement professional wears a mask. None. None. Those that come into our communities wearing a mask to commit crime, thank God for our district attorney, Larry Kraftner, who say he's going to lock them up. And I'm saying now, we are not going to whisk you away for them to hide your identity, because when you do it there, you're getting arrested there. No whisk away for them to hide you. None of that here.
Oh my God. Here we go, though. This is a sheriff.
Yeah.
Shelley, what are your thoughts?
I have a question. Why do they always have these big black women standing in front looking like asses? I mean, they're supposed to be professionals, number one. Number two, they don't even speak well. Number three, I really want to see them try to arrest ICE agents. I really do. Number four, her big ass won't be out there. She won't be out there. Number one, she couldn't even keep up. And I'm sorry, my nose, I got allergies going on here. She won't even be out there, be able to run. She's too big for her job or whatever the position is. And say her name?
Yes,
That's
they're
Now,
doing this now.
They're
They're doing
now this lady, this woman, Renee, now she's going to be the new martyr that they need to carry their banner. Bend your knee, or whatever it's called. Take the knee. Say his name. Say her name. Unfortunately, y'all, Black people, guess what? Now you got to wait for a martyr. I never thought I would see this. I never thought I would see Black people putting up these DEI types, putting up a white woman for their martyr. I mean, again, white women are getting the DEI benefits. Unfortunately, Renee had to die for it.
Yeah. I mean, Nicole, this lead paint eating sheriff, she looks like she has lead paint poisoning. She's definitely looks like that. She was eating paint when she was young, and we see the results of that. This is what we're talking about. This is what we're talking about.
It's exactly what we're talking about. You know, I don't think this is Black people jumping on this, Renee Good train. I think this is the LGBTQIA and the alphabet mafia jumping on this Renee Good train. A sheriff is elected. Remember what I said. This is them pandering to their base. Now, with crime in Philadelphia, city and county, what it is, she's got much bigger problems. Much bigger problems than fighting with federal authorities. You know, it's given that she applied and they did not accept her. She doesn't make the requirements for ICE agency. This is what it's given, sour grapes. But she's got her hands full doing the job that she's supposed to do. Let ICE do their job. How would she feel if another policing agency came into Philadelphia and prevented her from doing her job? How would she feel? She would be up in arms to the best of her ability. She would be running around screaming, ranting, raving, wanting to lock people up. What the federal authorities are doing is the law. You don't like the law, call your legislator. All of this anger is misguided. It's well paid for, but misguided. Now, I would like to pull her FEC reports and see who donated to her campaign. And I'm sure we would see some very similar names to people who may have donated to, I don't know, all the Democrats in Minnesota. This is not a one-off. What these people are, a gigantic network. Mm-hmm. They share money, they share talking points, they share influence. This is what they do. We have gotten down to the point, think of it as kind of like a diseased cell. You know, once you get down to the bottom of the cell where all the gunk and stuff is, that's where we are with them. We've exposed the USAID. Now we're coming for their local and state money. All they have left is to attack us. But we should have known this from the beginning. Changing culture is not easy, and they weren't going to give it up easy. This is the fight that we signed up for. America's going to have to stand tall. I'm sorry for Miss Good and losing her life, being a whole jackass, because that's what happened. I feel really bad for the children, incredibly bad for these children. But in the meantime, we're moving forward. There's fraud to uncover, and we have to keep our eyes on the prize.
Yeah. Folks, as you come in, please hit that like button. We have over 600 people watching. We want to make sure we get those likes up. That helps to tell YouTube to push our video out in front of a wider audience. All right. And so we need each and every one of you to do it, because we know they don't want this to get out. They don't want people talking, and they don't want to understand and recognize there are people out here that are tired of this stuff. I am so sick, and I'm saying this as a woman. I am sick of seeing these loudmouth, illiterate women get up on the podium when we see these things happen. This one in Philly. Remember the one in Cincinnati for the Cincinnati Music Festival. Mm-hmm. Then there was one in Texas, I believe, that was doing the thing for the Carmelo Anthony thing. I mean, they're all over the place, and they don't know what they're doing, Yana. What is going on with these women law enforcement agents, female law enforcement agents?
Well, as we were talking, I think whoever's putting them in place, like these very social justice, so-called oriented leaders, they've been put there by the socialist, communist, people who are behind, those who are behind the scenes. These are communists. These are people who want to change this country, and they're putting
But let me ask you, Yana, before you continue, what is it about women that the communists feel they can use to push their agenda? You know, because I'm seeing it a lot with women.
Well, women naturally are more communal, and they find strength in numbers, because just naturally women are weaker physically. So evolutionary, we're more prone to building relationships in order to survive. So in their mind, and how many times you would hear people say, well, if it was a woman in charge, we would have not had a war, or we would have had fewer conflicts. You know, so many times you hear that, thinking that, you know, women are always, they always want to find more peaceful solutions, and they want to have this redistribution of wealth because they want to kind of take care of everyone. And they think that there's, you know, you don't have to make masculine decisions. There's always, they're the ones who are sending social workers instead of police officers to crime scenes. They think that they can talk the crime away. It's ridiculous. I mean, there's place for that. There's place to nurture and be understanding, but then you have to have this masculine energy and have a heavy hand in a lot of situations.
You got a good point there, Yana. You got a good point there.
Wait a minute, Nicole. We have 2 super chats. I'm sorry. I don't want you can start.
Oh no, go right ahead.
Oh, okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. We have Songjak, I guess. Hi, thank you for your $5 super chat. Songjak says Trump needs to give Black America immunity and replace ICE. All this will be shut down in a week nationwide. Black America hasn't showed up yet.
Oh,
I don't know what I'm not sure I know what that means. What he means. I'm not sure I understand. Or she. I'm sorry. Hi, Josh.
Hey, Josh.
Thank you, Josh, for your $20 super chat. With so much craziness in the news, it highlights how very special the pop and politics community is. I'm so excited for the continued growth of the channel. Thank you, Josh. We couldn't do it without you.
That is absolutely true. We could not do it without you, Josh. And the rest of you guys, thank you so much for your support. We certainly appreciate it. It really helps. Your super chats, they go a long way in helping us push out this conservative content. There are not many online like us. We get a lot of flack for our conservative views, but we're going to continue pushing it. We're going to continue telling the truth because we know this is the way to save this country. All right. So when we look at many of these protesters, these agitators that have been jumping out in front of law enforcement buildings and cars and spitting on ICE agents, many of them are white. At least the ones in this sort of round, you know, because again, they're going to be coming out in waves, as we know. And take a look at this next clip of this white leftist losing her mind. This is clip 1.
So I mean, I'm just walking around kind of just dayside because I was like, I don't know if it's the right thing to do. It feels kind of wrong being here in some way. I don't know why.
Why do you think? Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know, like, where that stems from. Like, I mean, part of it is being like a white woman that I'm privileged and I have a lot of privilege. So I feel like white tears are not always something that's helpful or necessary when Black and brown people have been experiencing this for a long time. This isn't new for them, and so I don't know if that makes any sense in that way.
How did you decide that you should be here? Or are you still figuring that out?
Well, I work like 2 miles from here, so driving by, I don't, you know, it's like I'm here. I'm 2 miles. I can stop.
What a nut!
What the hell?
I don't even understand.
This feels wrong being here because she's a white woman and she has a lot of privilege. And white tears aren't helpful, yet she is bawling her white face out. Yana, what is wrong with this woman?
Okay, like I was saying before, it's like a cult. And like previously, like that sheriff, like that she sounded like a cult leader. And now this lady is a cult follower. So they just brainwashed white people in America. Like, that's what happened. White people, a lot of white people in America have been brainwashed by this leftist ideology. They have this weird, first of all, that sounds very like patronizing and racist, kind of also what she said. Like, what? Black and brown people have experienced this more. Like, what are you talking about? And also, I, I'm white. I know I checked the box. I've cried a lot. My ancestors have cried a lot. So like, stop it. Like, what are you don't speak for all white people. What is wrong with you? And this whole, it's totally just brainwashing. And they speak for all white people, and they speak for all black and brown people. Somehow they know everything about everyone and what everyone has experienced. It's actually indoctrination. It's a Marxist indoctrination. She sees the world in layers of oppression. So, oh, I'm not oppressed enough to shed tears for another woman who also happens to be white. Can I shed tears? Like, this is like psychosis, honestly.
Yana, you brought up a very good point too, because when you say you're white and your ancestors have experienced tragedy and oppression and so on and so forth. But let me tell you, these black leftists could give a damn. Okay. And that's the crazy part, because you got this white woman crying her white tears, like she says, because she has so much privilege and she feels like she shouldn't be there because she's a white woman and black people have been through so much. And black people, the ones that are on the left at least, hate her. I mean, they hate her just because she's white. They want to see you, under their foot. Do you understand this? The black leftists, and I know this isn't popular to say, but the black leftists, the black supremacists want you under their boot, you dummy. It makes no sense, Shelley.
Yeah. Let me tell you what else she's saying here with her confusion. She is confused. She doesn't know which box goes first in that, moving around the checkerboard. So that's number one. Number two, what she's really saying is the lie that she believes is that black people, I guess particularly black males, but certainly black people, they have been murdered in numerous numbers by police officers. That's what she's really saying.
Yeah, okay.
That's what she's saying, which is a lie, which has been, the data, the proof, if you will, the evidence has disproved that lie. But she still believes that in her mind, she thinks that black people are killed by police way more than white people, or just indiscriminately. But every day, black people are killed by black people, and she doesn't blink. She doesn't even shed a tear. See, this is the confusion that she has, and it's unfortunate that she believes this lie, and not only that, it's confounded by her confusion. That's ultimately what she's believing.
Yeah, Nicole, what are your thoughts on that exchange?
So they have this thing, it's called Minnesota Nice, right? These are some of the nicest people in the nation. They give a shirt off your back. They'll go buy you some more shirts. They'll let you take over their cities, although there's only maybe 110,000 of you, and you can turn their whole state into Mogadishu. This is how dumb Minnesota Nice is. But Minnesota Nice, at the intersection, look at me speaking Democrat, at the intersection of white guilt. She doesn't even feel like she can mourn this person who was murdered, quote unquote, in her mind. She feels guilty about crying for somebody who in her mind she thought was murdered. She doesn't know how to feel. So what she's going to have to do is pull out her cell phone, log in to MS Now, and let them tell her how she's supposed to feel. So she stays on track with Minnesota Nice at the corner of white guilt. This is what happens when people they don't go outside. They don't talk to other human beings. They get a steady diet of partisan politics. And the problem with that is, and Shelley has said this before, that politicians don't really act like that. All that bluster you see on TV, all that finger pointing and neck wiggling, and they leave there and go right to the Capitol Hill Club and have, a club sandwich, maybe a glass of Chardonnay, laughing and kikiing and hee-heeing until the cameras come back on. It's a show. It's a show. But there are some people in this nation who think it's real. They think it's real, and it feeds into their already guilty conscience about, oh, these poor Black people out here leading the world. Oh, these poor Black people. There's nothing that she could say in the moment where she was to tell you how she really feels, because she's afraid. She's afraid to say, I can't even cry because I'm white, because then the Black people aren't going to like me. But if I cry too much, then the white people aren't going to like me. And my Minnesota nice just tells me to stand here in my triple fat goose and mind my business. That's what she should have said. She should have said, I got nothing to say. It is ridiculous, but this is where we are. Good news is people are starting to wake up, and it's rolling slowly across the country, and eventually it'll get to Minnesota. And I hope they take their state back, because at this point, I'm ready to sell it to Canada.
Yeah. But folks, I want to ask, how did we get here? How did we get here? Well, one person who seems to have researched this and has a thesis or a perspective on it is Helen Andrews. So Helen Andrews is an American political commentator and author known for her book, Boomers, the Men and Women Who Promised Freedom and Delivered Disaster. She's also served as a senior editor at the American Conservative and as the managing editor of the Washington Examiner. Well, Helen has an argument mostly laid out in a 2025 recent essay titled The Great Feminization. So this is about wokeness as feminine group dynamics showing up in newly majority female institutions. So again, her main thesis says what people call wokeness, which we've always talked about a lot here, cancel culture, language policing, HR, DEI dominance, hypersensitivity to offense. She's saying all of this wokeness isn't primarily a new ideology. She's saying it's feminine patterns of behavior taking over once women become a critical mass or majority inside institutions that used to be male-led. All right, so let's get into this. Firstly, take a look at her explaining what she's talking about here. This is clip 3.
But I am saying that feminization has caused one specific particular problem, and that is wokeness. Like a lot of people, I was baffled by the woke phenomenon. Why did everyone seemingly go crazy all at once in the summer of 2020? It was inexplicable. It seemed to be mass hysteria, genuinely. And the more I thought about what caused it, which is a very important question, because if we know what causes it, we know how to prevent it from happening in the future. I read an article that someone else wrote that put forward a really simple, elegant thesis, which is that wokeness is simply feminine patterns of behavior applied to institutions where women had not been very well represented until recently. Women tend to be more consensus-focused, consensus-oriented. Men, when they're approaching a moral question, will ask, what are the facts? What are the rules? Whereas women will say, what are the relationships at play here? How can we make everybody happy? Mm-hmm. How can we reach an outcome that will satisfy all the parties? As opposed to the male perspective of how do we reach an outcome that is just and according to the rules. That sounded a lot like wokeness to me. And the sort of piece that made it all click into place for me was the coincidence of timing. It is the case, just we can all agree as a matter of fact, that a lot of institutions that went woke or were affected by wokeness became demographically female in the last 5 years. Law schools in America turned majority female in 2016, and they've gotten a little bit more female every year since then. I think now it stands at 55, 56%. The New York Times became majority female in its workforce in 2018, which is maybe why it was so susceptible to the fads of wokeness and the internal policing and the Slack revolts that took place internally over there. Medical schools are now majority female. The white collar workforce overall, employees in the United States with college degrees, a majority of them are women. And managers, management positions in the US workforce, 46% female, so almost majority female. So the fact that all of these institutions tipped over to being majority female around the same time that wokeness emerged seemed to me that couldn't possibly be a coincidence. And one of the most consistent psychological differences between men and women is women have a strong impulse of caring, right? Which is exactly, I mean, I'm not somebody who looks to evolutionary biology for the solutions to all human phenomena, but this particular one does seem glaringly Darwinian, right? That women see helpless things and they want to take care of them. That is definitely something that Darwin would find a pretty easy explanation for. But that's also something that wokeness can easily weaponize. It means that if you can frame your political issue as a way of caring for some helpless class, then you're golden, right?
Minorities are babies.
That's right. But that is precisely what's going on at a deeper level. And that's why it's been so effective.
Wow. All right. So lots to unpack here. Now, we are an all-female panel. And, if most people would say this is what we wanted, right? We wanted equal representation in leadership in most of these institutions. Well, it's her perspective that it hasn't been a good thing. Shelley, what are your thoughts there?
I think Helen is, I would say largely, I haven't read her book, but I would say largely correct. And ultimately, I was reading something else about her, or I can't remember if she wrote it or not, but basically she's saying this theory, it's not even that wokeness comes out of Marxism, which we talk about a lot on here too. She's saying it's a biological, whatever, evolutionary pattern. And she's not even necessarily criticizing women for these behaviors or characteristics. She's saying when there is an abundance or an excess, of women in institutions that were typically dominated by males, then basically there's a problem. I see it. We've all seen it in various different ways. And guess what? As women, if we're honest, we know we struggle with it amongst each other.
Well, yeah. Nicole, I'm interested to hear your thoughts on this as you've been in leadership in many organizations, professional and social. What are your thoughts on this?
She's right. One, I like that she came on the show looking very smart. I thought that was smart of her to come on, not glammed up, but just smarter than everybody else in the room. I felt her on that, right? But I think she's right. It's too much of a coincidence that this wokeness that had been slowly simmering for decades suddenly came to a head at the same time where men were being moved out of leadership positions and an abundance of women were moving into leadership positions. I say this all the time on my practice management podcast. I would rather lead a pack of hungry pit bulls in pork chop underwear than have a staff full of women. And I tell you why, because the fighting never stops. No one is meaner to a woman than another woman. That she touched me, she parked in my spot. I mean, so these relationship issues that they have sometimes overshadow the work that I need them to do. And they can't work well until you resolve said relationship issues. Men don't have that thing. They get mad at each other. They're like, I can't stand that dude. I'm gonna see him after work. Right. But they work through the day and get it done. And then after work, they pull each other's hair out. None of my business. But on the clock, we are so relational. I think Yana had that right, that when there's something wrong in the relationship or somebody comes in and they're having a bad day, you talk about a contagion, it spreads across the office like the flu. And then everybody's mad at me because I refuse to have the bad day. I'm like, look, we're not doing that. I'll order you all some wings, whatever you want, but get it together. But it takes much more time to lead a staff full of women. And I'm not saying that as someone who hates women. I love my sisters. I've got lots and lots of sisters, women who are in my life, who mentor me, that I mentor. But there's a different way of leading them than you do when you're in an organization filled with men. They do it differently. The goals are different. The timelines are different. Everything about it is different. And I think she hit the nail on the head, is that when you get too much of this nurturing spirit without someone putting up hard parameters, this is where we go, afoul. Conversely, when we had too many parameters and not enough nurturing, things were tough. We need to strike a balance. And I don't think America has quite gotten there yet.
Yeah. Yana. So my question for you is, do we need to remasculinize institutional norms?
We have to remasculinize everything right now, because like I was saying, it all comes from Marxism. They're fighting patriarchy. It's at the core of, what they're fighting against is patriarchy. And they're trying to fight it not just like physically, meaning removing men physically, putting in women in positions of power, or elevating women into those positions. They're fighting it on more of a psychological, also it's like a deeper level. So they're elevating actually these toxic female traits that Nicole was just mentioning, because there are like not every woman is like that. And that is something that as women, we should be taught from as when we're little girls to stop, to suppress those urges, to fight, to create drama for no reason. Just like men, boys, we teach boys not to hit each other or a girl immediately if they get upset. So, and not to, they have those certain urges, and they're so good. The left is so good talking about how we gotta change the boys, and that's what I mean. The young men right now, when you listen to them, you don't even know if they're gay or straight at this point. The young guys, because their masculine energy has been so suppressed, like from the time when they were little boys. But this toxic female energy has been elevated. And we need to be, as women, we need to be taught not to fall into those patterns, because that we can't get along that way. We cannot be goal oriented if all we worry about is drama. So that needs to be fought. So it's all this agenda to feminize the culture, thinking that somehow if you feminize the culture, it's going to fix our world problems. That's where it's coming from.
Yeah. And Andrews argues healthy societies require both sexes, and both sexes' strengths. But modern institutions have overcorrected. So institutions must reassert courage over comfort, objectivity over empathy, standards over inclusion all costs, and conflict as productive, not abusive. So again, we got to get rid of this toxic masculinity phrase when it's really functional masculinity. Okay. This is what we have to do. And as women, we need to help this come about. We need to start calling this out. I was on PBS earlier this week, and these feminists, these are feminazi leftist women, are saying that there's coded gendered language and all this type of stuff. It was ridiculous. It was really ridiculous. But this stuff has gotten so embedded in the fabric of our country. The education system, the professional system. I don't know if we're able to dig ourselves out. Do you believe so, Shelley?
I mean, I don't know if we're able to dig ourselves out, but I can say this. There was a time, like you said, when we had, I would say more or less, we had that balance, if you will, yesteryear. And because we have overcorrected one way and maybe undercorrected in another, before it used to just kind of work out, I guess, if you want to call it that. I mean, just kind of worked out. We didn't have governments or human experiments, if you will, coming in trying to tweak this group or vice versa. It just worked out. When I was growing up, particularly in grade school, at home, in the community, I mean, this lady Helen, and I hope no woman is saying this. No woman is saying that a woman's has to get rid of all of her natural instincts, if you will. That's not what she's saying, nor certainly not for a man. The balance is there. Men were men, women were women. And when there were disagreements, it was kind of instinctively knowing just how to fix it, how to work it out. As men, as women, still having a relationship, still caring for each other, still making sure that there were standards or functions were being performed, whatever the case may be. And it just kind of worked out. I can see people in my mind, even when there was some kind of dispute, whatever, conflict between a male and a woman, and not even in an intimate relationship, even in a working relationship. A guy, the male, knew that the female maybe needed a little bit more time to kind of get over, even if it was settled, right? The male would kind of still be a protective. Yes, we still got to do this. I'm sorry you're upset. And I'm not saying he was effeminate. I'm not even saying he wasn't masculine, but there was just something instinctive about, okay, I know she's going to need just a little bit more time than I do. So I'm not going to mock her. I'm not going to rub it in or whatever. And then the woman kind of responded to that. So I don't know if we can get back to it. I don't know. It's going to happen. If we do, it's going to happen on I guess I'm going to say an individual, small group basis at one at a time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and she also argues that we need to restore moral authority outside the workplace. So she talks about how churches are weak, families are fragmented, communities have collapsed. And so now people want to import moral meaning into their workplaces where it doesn't belong. Okay. We have this thing now in these corporate areas where they want everybody to be friends, and you want to get to know your coworkers' background and all this type of stuff. And it's forced. It really is. That didn't used to be how it was. I mean, yes, you want to be cordial with your coworkers, and you want to have some type of community there, somewhat, but it's still work. What we need to do is make strong families, make stronger churches, make strong civil society. So work can be about work, not identity salvation. But they want everything to be topsy-turvy, it looks like. And it's just really, it's become weird.
It's communism.
Yes.
It's communism. That's what it is. In communism, work is the most important thing. You're doing it for the community. You are part of the community. So you always have to think of the greater community. Even your family relationship has to be in balance with the rest of the community. But you worker first before everything else. So you're you're raised to put community before and others before everybody else, and that's what they're trying to implement.
Yeah. And back then, KJ, the workday was a finite amount of time, right?
Right.
People didn't work 1,000 hours. Some of us are workaholics. I try to get at least 70 hours worth of work a week, right? But I have a lot of things that are going on, and it feeds my ADHD real nice, so I don't have to take any medication. But for a regular person, if you're spending 12 hours a day at work, you bet that's your social circle, because that's all you really get a chance to see. Back when people worked 8 to 4, 8 to 5, and they were home by 5:15, 5:30, they walked the dog, talked to the neighbor, maybe belonged to like a Elks Club or Circle K or something in their area, maybe a Moose Lodge on the weekends. They had an opportunity to choose their social circle. But when you're working, it's the social circle that someone hires for you to be in. You get assigned your new social group. So this is where you see those dynamics. I say this all the time to newer administrators, to newer managers. I say, listen, you can teach anybody to press the pretty button. You can teach anybody the skill set that they need. You have to hire the right personality type to fit your team, because the last thing you need is one square peg and the whole thing collapses. I've seen it at hospitals. I've seen it at private practices. I've seen it in political groups. I see it working now in political groups. All it takes is one person to kind of ruin the stew, and it takes forever for the organization to recover. And it's ridiculous, but that's just the way it is when America spends most of its time at work now.
Yep.
Yeah. And, go ahead, Shelly. You want to get the super
go ahead.
Oh,
super chatters, yeah, super chatters. Okay. We have a few super chatters here. Laura B, thank you for your $5 super chat. Laura says these are childless women trying to mother adults and other people's children. Women take things personally versus rationally. Okay, all right, Laura. Kung Fu CJ, thank you for your $2 super chat. He says, unfortunately, logic is something women must learn. Okay. All right, thank you. Carol Mathis for your $2 super chat. She says, as a female, I'd rather work with men, less drama. And most females have said that at least one time in their life. Carol, so you are not wrong about that. Raldon 65, thank you for your $5 super chat. As a long-haired white dude, there ain't nothing crazy in an old liberal white lady that missed Woodstock and thinks she's making a difference.
No. He is right. He is
Thank
so
you.
right.
We have one more, I think, from Magdalene.
Thank you.
From Canada. Thank you for your $5 super chat. From Ottawa, indoctrination, Jezebel spirit at play. In time, let us pray for USA after Trump. Enemies of USA arrived and have infiltrated institutions. Thank you.
Yeah. And just one last thing on this, folks. Fixing this isn't about silencing women or rolling back progress. The fix is restoring masculine virtues, okay? Rules, courage, and truth. So feminine virtues don't turn into institutional dysfunction. Let me tell you something. A lot of these leftist women hate men, folks. I mean, they can't stand them. I have been around women, leftist mothers, who don't like boys. I mean, they look at them as threats. They want you to tamper down the masculinity in your boys, in your teenagers. It's really weird. It is very weird. And so what we are seeing here is not so much on the male side. These women they just don't want to have equal access. They want to override the men. Okay. They want environments where no men are allowed, where men are should not even be in the picture. They are going so far as hiring women that don't fit for the job, but they're just hiring women for women's sake. Okay, this is an issue. It's a real issue. Let me tell you, as a mother of a son, all right, I have seen this firsthand. Okay, these people are nuts, and we've got a real problem because, as Helen Andrews, folks, if you guys are coming in just now, we're talking about the research document that she put out. Her name is Helen Andrews. The essay is a 2025 essay called The Great Feminization. All right, if you want to look it up. But she talks about the numbers. This is the numbers here, folks. In higher education, the pipeline that feeds everything else. So back in the 60s, undergraduate enrollment was 42% female. Now in 1980, it's 51%. From 2020 to 2023, it went from 59 to 60%. So now women earn 60% of bachelor degrees in the US. All right, and they're the most annoying. These ones that think I am a doctorate, I'm a PhD, DDDDD. They're the most annoying. Okay, these professional degreed women. Again, women earn 58% of master's degrees, 53 to 55% of doctorates. This is non-STEM doctorates, okay? So we're talking about doctorates in gender studies. They are studying all the ins and outs of a vagina. All right, this is what it is. This is what it is. Okay. Law has been historically hyper masculine. Back in the 70s, it was only 5% female. 1990s, it went to 43% female. In 2023, 56% of law students are female. Okay. I mean, it goes on. Journalism. We're seeing this woke media, fake news media. Newsrooms in the 70s were 20% female. By 2018, 61% female among newsroom employees under 40. So it's really staggering. Same thing in the medical industry. In the 70s, you had 9% female. By 2023, 56% are female. Okay, 77% are in the healthcare workforce overall are female. All right. So this is just the numbers, because we always like to give you guys the data behind all of this. This is why our world is changing. All right. I know we got another super chat there, Shelly.
Right, we have, is that Greta? Thank you. I think it's Greta. Greta, for your $10 super chat. Okay, it's a male picture. I'm sorry, it's a male picture, but the name is Greta, so that's why I'm a little confused. But then he says, wife is culpable. Yell, drive. Oh, talking about this ICE shooting. Yell, drive, baby, drive. While ICE was ordering her out of the car. Yes, thank you, Greta. Jessica, for your $10 super chat. She says, I love the sisters I work with, but I love my brothers more. Seriously, all jokes aside, weirdly, my brothers understood and got me more than my sisters did. I always did better with men than women. All right. Thank you, Jessica. And the Scrapping Beauty, thank you for your $5 super chat. As a boss, you got to keep a healthy distance. You never hang with your coworkers. You keep respect. Okay.
Excellent point of view there. Excellent advice. All right, folks. And as we're seeing, particularly in the West, the feminization of the West really is what we're talking about here. Other countries are starting to take notice. So have you guys heard this news story out today talking about, and this is image one, the UAE announces it will cut funds for citizens who want to study in the UK out of fear of Emirati students being radicalized by the Muslim Brotherhood Islamists on British campuses. So they have axed their state scholarships for citizens studying at the UK universities, citing deep fears of radicalization. So he's quoted as saying, we don't want our kids radicalized. This is something on campus. The move kicked in and around June 2025, but it's blowing up now with reports confirming UK degrees from non-approved schools won't even be recognized back home, tanking their value. Now, this is something when the UAE is saying the UK is too many Islamists. Shirley, what do you think about that?
I don't believe it.
Oh,
I don't believe it. I believe that they said that, but I don't believe that that is what they really intend. I think they said it for maybe PR to get some kind of standing, but the UAE is not necessarily high on the freedom or the human rights roster, if you will. Number one. And number two, according to, again, I didn't do a whole history research, but according to what I did, there is a Muslim Brotherhood in the UAE, and it's affiliated with UAE. So I think this is all a PA move. I don't believe it. I don't believe that that's what they are going to do, or in the sense that they want to stop a relationship with the Muslim Brotherhood. I don't believe it.
I disagree with Shelly.
Before you get there, and I do want to make a correction here. So the UAE has banned the Muslim Brotherhood as a terrorist group back in 2014, seeing them as Sharia pushing menace that infiltrates society. So I don't know, but Yana, go ahead, please.
No, I think maybe people confuse UAE and Qatar. They're very different in their politics. And the UAE, they have implemented a lot of reforms in their country. Like KJ just said, they did ban Muslim Brotherhood. They have great relationship with Israel. There's a lot of Israeli tourists that go there. They welcome people from all over the world. They thrive on people visiting their country regularly. And yes, they have Islam as their traditional religion, but I think the leadership understands, just like in some other Muslim majority countries like the Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, they understand that it's their culture, but they also understand that radical Islam hurts their countries. They do not want radical people in their countries because if they have them, people will stop investing into UAE. So people will stop visiting as tourists. So I think their leadership do understand that aspect.
Yeah, I want to get your thoughts on this, Nicole.
Yeah, I think it's more of a class thing, not necessarily a Muslim thing. The people generally from the UAE are very forward thinking, right? They have Western sensibilities. They are welcoming and tolerant, and you see parts of Islam that aren't that way. But they're also a little bit wealthier. They're a little bit more quote unquote cultured, and they don't want to lose that look on the world stage. So they're going to do what it's necessary to protect that culture, because somebody's got to lead the pack, right? Now, do I believe that everybody at the UAE, is completely devoid of Muslim Brotherhood? No, there's always a few snakes in the grass. However, I think as a government, they definitely want to be the Muslims who don't believe in radicalization, who don't believe in terrorism, who are not going to be state sponsors of terrorism. I think that's going to be their mantra for their country for many years to come. It just goes to show you how bad the UK is.
Yeah.
I mean, that's ridiculous. That's a slap in the face on the world stage like nobody's business.
Yeah. I mean, UK campuses have become hotspots. In 2023 to 2024, 70 students were flagged for Islamist radicalization under the PREVENT program, nearly double the prior year, out of 3 million total students. Places like LSE and King's College London are riddled with brotherhood-tied student groups hosting unchecked extremist speakers. And the UAE is saying, we don't want any parts of it. I mean, that's pretty glaring.
Now, keep in mind that the Muslim Brotherhood in many Arab or Islamic countries is not only called the Muslim Brotherhood. There are various names, I guess various groups or sizes that are associated with it. Again, I understand that they crack down on this particular Muslim Brotherhood. I just don't trust that. I think this is a facing front or a front facing view or look for the UAE. That's just what I think. But we got a super chat. Let's see what the super chat says. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to add, we're talking about UK, but the Muslim Brotherhood, the radical Muslims, they are everywhere. They are here. When I was at George Mason University, the Muslim Brotherhood sent people there to talk to their Muslim Student Association. It was a huge group and the most active on campus. They would have food. They obviously had sponsorship from outside of the school because they had for the Ramadan, it's like a whole month, and every day they would have food for anyone who wanted to come to their events. They sponsored so many things, and then one of my friends who was Muslim and still is, but she traveled back to her home country to visit. She actually was very, very here in America. She became quite religious, and then she went to Saudi Arabia to visit her family. And when she came back, she said people in Saudi Arabia are less religious than people here in America that she was associating with on campus and around campus. So that says a lot.
Yeah,
from what's going on in the Middle East compared to what's happening in the West with radical Islam.
Yes, indeed.
All righty. Okay. We have some super chatters here. Laura is back with us. Thank you for your $10 super chat. Laura says she still likes the idea of the wife at home and the husband working outside the home. Okay. Thank you, Laura, for that.
All
Look,
right.
you know, how many people we have watching? I don't have it.
560, over 560.
And how we need some likes, you guys. Come on, hit
Yeah.
that like button in that chat room. Hit the like, share, and subscribe. We need to get it a match. Remember, we're trying to get 1,000 likes every show. So come on, you guys are making up to do. Come on, LJ and Laura and Momo and Monster and all of you guys in there. You can do it. Allie, the Scrapping Beauty. Let's go. Jessica, come on. Thank you.
All right. All right, folks. All right. Final topic of the night. We've been talking about the left for most of the show. Now we got to talk about, and you guys tell me whether they're rhinos or are they true conservatives. So President Trump was pretty upset today. He lashed out at the GOP senators over war power votes on Venezuela. So he lashed out. It was 5 of them, I believe, who voted with the Democrats yesterday to advance a bipartisan resolution on the War Powers Act that would block the administration from using military force against Venezuela, saying they should not be reelected. This is what President Trump said. Take a look here. This is Senator Rand Paul talking about why he was one of the senators that voted with the Democrats. This is clip 4.
It is proper for the Congress to debate it, but the Senate will vote on a bipartisan war powers resolution to block the president from any further military action in Venezuela. How are you planning to vote?
I'll vote yes because, you know, our founding fathers debated this. They debated whether or not the initiation of war, the declaration of war, should begin with Congress, with the people, with the people's representatives, or whether or not it should be left to one person. This was a long and very public debate. It's in the Federalist Papers. The discussion, they worried about allowing too much power to gravitate to the executive. They lamented what had happened, wars, 100 years of wars in Europe fought between the royalty, and they wanted to make it harder to go to war, so they gave the power to declare war to Congress. And I think bombing another nation's capital and removing their president is an act of war. Anybody who argues otherwise, I think, has a very difficult argument. So yes, the Constitution indicates this should go to Congress first.
Well, I mean, you know, in that soundbite we played, you were arguing that, look, you know, I mean, are we going to go and remove somebody in Saudi Arabia? I mean, with all due respect, I think the goal here is to stop the drug and human trafficking into America. And I don't think Saudi Arabia is sending fentanyl into America.
Well, neither is Venezuela. Venezuela doesn't export any fentanyl at all.
Well,
in
what
fact,
about cocaine?
Their main product.
What about cocaine?
Well, there is some argument, yes, on the cocaine front that there are people within that country. There are also people within several countries in South America that are producing cocaine. What I would say is, look, there's no love lost for Maduro. I've written a book, The Case Against Socialism. I'm glad he's gone. I've described how teenagers are scrounging for food in Venezuela. Socialism is bad, but there's a bigger picture here also between us making this decision. For 30 years, from 1970 to 2000, the Venezuelan people kept voting in socialists. In the initial elections, they actually voted in Chavez, and most people think the initial elections were likely legitimate. But this is the end result of socialism. This is state-sponsored violence that occurred there. But what has to happen now is the people of Venezuela need to choose better. They need to realize that it wasn't just getting a bad person, that this is a bad economic system. So the oil companies have been owned by the Venezuelan government since 1976, the gas companies since 1971. This is not a new thing. So there's a bigger, broader debate we should be having here. And I don't think telling the people of Venezuela, we're coming.
All right. I want to start off with you on this, Nicole. What are your thoughts? Do you believe that these 5 senators who voted with Democrats are rhinos, or are they strict constitutionalists?
No, most of them are strict constitutionalists. Some of them have aspirations for 2028. But, you know, the truth of the matter is it's much to do about nothing. This is me and the mainstream media again. You know, even if they muster the votes, even if they can get it through the House, it gets to Trump's desk, gets vetoed, and they do not have enough votes to override it. Trump does not want to make war in Venezuela. He said that flat out and plainly. And I understand his ire with these Republican senators, because with all the other things we have the damn do, this is what you're pushing for. It makes him angry, and he should be, because we all remember how lackluster they were last year. We need them to get their head in the game. Now, granted, I understand. I'm not into nation building either. That's not my thing. As a conservative person, I think it's a horrible idea to try to go in and build an America in a place that's not America. It's not what we do well. It usually costs a ton of money, American lives, and it doesn't work out. Generationally, it does not work out. So I understand what they're trying to say, but the fact that he has no intent in going to war with Venezuela, period, and has said so, is why he's angry. And rightfully so. This man has done more in 11 months than most of these senators have done their entire career in the Senate. So I understand where he's furious with them, but I definitely understand where Josh Hawley's coming from. And Rand Paul, you know, he's on an island all by himself. He always has been, just kind of out there floating around all by himself. But none of these people want to see American boots on the ground. None of these people want to see us nation building. It just costs too much. It's just too heavy. When you think of blood, sweat, and tears, it's just too much for the American people to bear.
All right. Shelley, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I don't think they're rhinos either. In fact, Josh Hawley, Susan Collins, Rand Paul, I forget the other two, they are pretty consistent. They have been. They have been more. Rand Paul certainly has been a fiscal conservative for as long as I can remember. And not only that, Nicole and I said this, I think last week or whenever it was. I don't want to do nation building either. We don't do well. We cannot change the culture in other countries, and we definitely cannot do it in one generation. And it hasn't been done. So we don't do well there. So no, I think President Trump. Again, I always say this because I want you to understand, I guess, my thinking. I voted for President Trump. I would vote for him again, okay? But I know he does lash out sometimes in a little fit. Maybe you want to call it a tantrum. Sometimes he says things that we even say that maybe that's not the right thing. But we also have to think forward. He's out there now saying they shouldn't get reelected or he's going to primary them. To what benefit? How is that going to benefit us in the long term? So no, I don't think they're rhinos. And I've been upset with Susan Collins before, but I do believe that she's pretty consistent in her stances, even when I've been upset with her. So.
All right, Yana, I'm interested to get your take on this, particularly since you have been very vocal about the U.S. Getting involved with Ukraine and Russia and things like that. What do you think about this?
So I was just checking, and I'm seeing that at least two of these people who voted against, actually three right now that I'm seeing, against Trump making decisions on Venezuela, they have been speaking for continued support for Ukraine, military support. So I just want to say that that's very hypocritical, and they don't see things from different perspectives. And now I can say the United States has a right to have this special military operation in Venezuela, just like Russia has the right to have a special military operation in Ukraine. When your country is under a threat of a country that is nearby, that has very hateful rhetoric towards, just like in Venezuela, and also they were building up their military, and I think the United States has the right to prevent whatever threat might be coming from Venezuela, the same way how Russia has the right to prevent whatever threat that is coming from Ukraine. So these people are very hypocritical, and they need to understand that if they are against any kind of military involvement or spending money on military, they're not being consistent in what they're claiming they stand for.
Oh, that's very interesting. Very interesting take. I agree with all of you. I think that, first of all, and a lot of people in the chat have been saying this as well, I do not consider what President Trump did an act of war. Okay. This is not Vietnam. This was a defined mission with a defined purpose, removing a threat and stabilizing a neighboring nation. Okay. So, again, targeting use of this War Powers Act could authorize specific limited actions. This is what the act was for, without committing to an open-ended conflict. We saw him do this with bombing the Iranian nuclear facilities. The goal isn't a multi-year war. It's a defined mission to secure safety and stability in the hemisphere. So I'm a little disappointed, in these people. And I mean, at first I didn't think they were rhinos, but you brought up a very good point, Yana, about them being hypocrites if this is the case with these senators and how they voted for Ukraine and the Russian conflict. I didn't even think about it that way, as far as saying, well, Russia saw this same way we see Venezuela, and that's why they decided to invade Ukraine. It's a very interesting take. What are your thoughts there, Shelley?
I have a question for Yana. No, I have a question because I just want to understand, because I've heard some people make the argument that, we said Putin was wrong for going into Ukraine, which I have said that, right? But I can understand they're saying they're using this now. I agree with KJ. This was a targeted event and they pulled out Maduro. The part I don't understand what you're saying is that you're saying these 5 senators are hypocrites because they
not all 5. No, not all 5.
No.
So
Okay.
far,
No.
yeah.
I'm not saying that. I just want to understand the argument. Are you saying that they're hypocrites because they are supporting Ukraine's right to defend itself, or that's what I'm trying to understand?
Well, no, they're supporting for more military aid for Ukraine from America. So they're supporting American involvement in this foreign conflict where Russia, the thing is that I just want Russia and US to get along. So you need to understand, and I know Russians, they also, I can disagree with what they're doing too, especially their involvement in Venezuela. I don't really support Russia getting involved with Venezuela. But a lot of these things that we're having between Russia and the United States, it stems, it has long history, and it's always a back and forth kind of behavior. So even it's in the media, it's everywhere. So if the U.S. does something or says something anti-Russian, Russia needs to say, well, say something about the U.S. or do something that is in the similar manner. So, and we kind of very similar. We're big empires with big egos. So you're never going to squash the Russian ego, and Russians will not squash the American ego. So we need to come together and see each other as these great powers that we can come together and we can control all these little bastards who want to take over both of these great nations.
And this is where we need women.
Well, listen,
I don't know if we need women for that, because I mean, we all have male leaders, but yeah, maybe, I mean, I don't know. Maybe we need a woman to talk to these leaders.
All right. Well, folks, Yana is back. All right. Yana is back. The Russian assassin, the Russian ballerina is back, folks. With that fiery talk about this stuff going on in Eastern Europe. So sound off in the chat. Let us know what you all think about all of this. As President Trump coined the Dawn Road doctrine, he had coined that a while ago as far as his moves in Venezuela. He's actually talking about the Monroe Doctrine, which was a foreign policy tradition asserting U.S. primacy in the Western Hemisphere. So, and this is what he's saying to justify his actions against interference in Venezuela. So please sound off in the chat. Let us know what you think. Mm-hmm. All right, folks, we are at the end of our time tonight. Do we have any more super chats, Shelley?
No, we don't have any more.
Okay. All right, folks. Well, folks, get those likes up before you leave out. As you all come in, hit that like button. It helps to get this video out in front of a wider audience. We will be back on Monday night at 9 p.m. right here on Poppin' Politics. In the meantime, if you want to get your YouTube conservative fix, check out Just the Guys podcast tomorrow night. Tomorrow night at 6:30 p.m. The guys are going to be on, and they are fiery, folks. They're going to be talking about bringing shame back, and also how communism has infiltrated all areas of Western life. So you do not want to miss their podcast. That's Just the Guys at Just the Guys podcast. Go on over there and subscribe so you know when they go live and when they post new content. All right. And then if you want your biblical fix, your Christian conservative fix, check out me and Michelle, Sunday night at 9 p.m. That's Sunday on Christian Conservative. Hopefully Pastor Damon will join us. I haven't asked him yet, but I've been meaning to send him a text all day about it. But we hopefully if he's free, he'll join us on Sunday, and we're going to bring the fire for you folks about with the biblical spin on it. So we talk about all things Christian conservative. So we apply a biblical foundation to conservatism. So hopefully we will see you then on Sundays. And if you haven't done so already, go on over there and subscribe so you know when we go live and when we post new content.
Now, KJ, before we go tonight, I would be remiss if I did not point out my unapologetically American t-shirt. Listen, folks, get your t-shirts now. Get your t-shirts now. I will tell you that the last time I looked at the A250, the America 250 calendar of events, it was well over 600 events. Well over 600 events. So you can get your unapologetically American t-shirt. It has a flag on the back. It has a heart and a raised fist. It is absolutely great. And you'll have on something that speaks to your patriotism let's hope a lot of people have them, but very few other people may have. It'll set you apart. And people who know will know that's a little bit of Candace Owens for you and give you the nod. Okay, you look good. You look good. It comes in a bunch of colors. You can get a trucker hat. You know, if you have some people in your life that you're trying to introduce them to conservative values, introduce them to being, exceptionally American, this is a great way to do it. Everybody get a shirt. Everybody go to an event and have a great time. It's perfect for 4th of July.
All right. Also, Nicole, please share with people who are maybe in the DC area in February the event that you all are hosting at Black Conservative Federation.
Yes, the Black Conservative Federation has an annual honors gala every February, usually around my birthday. That's just the luck of the draw. Nothing I can do about that. Usually my birthday weekend, but this year it's February 19th, and it has Alice Johnson is going to be one of our honorees. Christian Newton is going to be an honoree. There are so many special guests on this list. The VIP is already all sold out. The sponsors just came down hot and heavy and just sucked up all the oxygen out of the room. So right now what we have are general admission tickets, but it is at the Trump Kennedy Center. It is going to be spectacular. And if you've ever been to a BCF event, ever, we party. We party like nobody's business. You'll see Bitcoin guys dancing with people who work for the administration. It is just crazy. Podcasters, everybody from every corner of life comes to our events because it's a good time. You can let your hair down and you don't really have to worry about much of anything else except for networking. And there's a lot of that networking at this event. This particular event is going to be extra special because the Black Conservative Federation is turning 10 next year or this year, and we're very excited. So we're going to have this event. We're going to have a 10th birthday party in Chicago, a 10th birthday party here in Washington, D.C., about 17,000 cookouts across the nation this coming year. So BCF is all over the place, but this particular gala is going to have an amazing speaker. Super duper amazing, huge speaker. Can't tell you what his name is though, but it's definitely a him and you want to be there. So get yourself a ticket, make you a weekend out of it. There are other things going on in the area at that time, but this will be legendary. All of them have been, and this one is not going to disappoint. I promise you that.
All right, folks. Well, so much at the end of the show, so much for you guys to get involved with, to take in this weekend, and as we say, the BCF Gala in February. Check it out. Check it all out. All right.
Do you want to answer this comment someone just posted?
Oh, I didn't see which
What
one.
does it say?
So there's a lady saying that she's in DC. Do you see it now?
Oh, how do I find you guys? Oh, yeah. Well, we're actually in Maryland. We're in Maryland, but we keep saying we got to do a meetup somewhere where we can get everybody together who's on this side of town and really just get together and just have a good time. And that's what we need to do. Because, it's oftentimes it's hard to connect with like-minded people who share our values, who are conservative. And not stuck in, stuffed shirts. So yeah, we got to get together and we're going to do something this summer. So mark your calendars. We're putting stuff together. We're going to do something this summer and we're going to give you guys plenty of time to prepare. And we are going to have a pop and politics. I don't even know. I don't want to call it a party, but an event. Okay. So we're going to do it. Yeah. Okay. All right. So yes, that's a great idea, and we're going to do it. So this summer is it. All right. So again, folks, we want to wish you a wonderful weekend. Get out and touch grass, as Shelly E always says. And that does it for us tonight. So we'll see you on Monday. Until next time, count your blessings and live a life of purpose. Good night.